Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by Nova Copy. Nova Copy provides printers and copiers. You know that. That is their specialty. But with a free cost analysis of your business, they can help you streamline your workflow, reduce your company's monthly expenses, and make your business more efficient overall. What business owner, what business manager doesn't want to save his company money? Call Nova Copy. They can do that for you. Free cost of analysis. Check them out. Benny Malakote and his team this week. All right, time to take a look over at the Nova Copy big board in this segment. We welcome Josh Ward back, but look at the Nova Copy big board, the drawing board. You have the 12 SEC bowl games. They are in order, so you start on the left and go down, then the one next to it and go down. But an interesting lineup, I think, thanks to not only the new selection process, which was different, but also conference realignment has helped on a number of these things. You've got some teams. Louisville wouldn't have been a possibility in the past. Notre Dame wouldn't have been a possibility in the past. So them having ties to the ACC now opens up some new games. We can keep it on there for a second as I quickly run through these. You got the Independence Bowl, Miami against South Carolina. You got Spurrier going up against Miami. Liberty Bowl, West Virginia, Texas A&M. Dana Holgorsen, the coach at, well, it's funny, the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M used to serve for Dana Holgorsen. Dana Holgorsen used to serve on Kevin Sumlin's staff. So all kinds of fun they're having on Twitter back and forth. Texas, of course, that's an old rivalry. Texas and Arkansas going at each other. Notre Dame LSU, what a tremendous matchup for the city of Nashville in the Music City Bowl. That's just a great matchup. The Belk Bowl is the Todd Grantham Bowl. Mark Richt kind of said, we don't need you around here in Georgia. He moves to Louisville. Now he's going to get a shot at Mark Richt and Jeremy Pruitt, the man who replaced him. Peach Bowl, which is now a major bowl game. It's hard to think of the Peach as a well, it's been the Chick-fil-A for years. Now it's the Peach Bowl again. TCU, who a lot of people think belonged in the playoff, they got Ole Miss. You look at the Orange Bowl, you know, that's an SEC game. Georgia Tech, Mississippi State they could run for 600 yards in that game combined. Outback Bowl, that's the only one to me that says, yeah, been there before. The thing that's different, Wisconsin had another coach flee Barry Alvarez, so they'll be coached by an interim guy. Well, they'll be coached by Alvarez himself. Auburn, Will Muschamp won't be coaching, but he'll be down there watching because Muschamp just signed on as the new defensive coordinator at Auburn. $1.6 million he'll be making a year. Citrus Bowl, that used to be the Capital One. Now it's back to being the Citrus Bowl. That's Minnesota and Missouri. And 10 years ago, if I told you Minnesota, Missouri would be an SEC bowl game, how many people would raise their hands?
What's Minnesota doing in the SEC?
Right. Then you got the Sugar Bowl, which is part of the college football playoff. Urban Meyer comes up, tries to win a game with Ohio State against an SEC team, Nick Saban in Alabama. Then the Tax Slayer Bowl, Tennessee, which is on January 2nd. Then the Birmingham Bowl, that's kind of a yawner because Florida's got an interim coach, and they play East Carolina next September, so that kind of stinks. They're going to play them in the regular season. But overall, you look at that list, I personally think that may be the most interesting SEC bowl lineup in a decade. I mean, that's some good stuff. I didn't anticipate this system working so well for the SEC, and it might not always, but I like what I see this year. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I'm going to go with what you said in at least a decade. I kind of hope that the weather's bad during all the bowl season, so I can stay inside and actually watch football games.
The weather's bad here.
The weather's bad here, so I'll have a reason not to be out in the woods. I think it's a fantastic bowl lineup. And I mean, obviously the records aren't all that great for all the teams, but if you look at the matchups, I don't think they could have done much better than what they did.
I like you got Texas Arkansas renews an old rivalry, right. And the interesting one to me, Texas A&M West Virginia. They're like the expansion twins.
Yeah.
You know what?
What's Big 12? Yeah.
What's Texas A&M doing in the SEC? What's West Virginia doing in the Big 12?
It's going to be a high-scoring game too because a lot of offense, not a lot of defense.
The only thing I would like better there is the paired Texas and Texas A&M.
Which was not going to happen.
Which wasn't going to happen.
Texas A&M says that was the SEC's call, but as if the SEC didn't call Texas A&M and say, you want to play them?
Right.
Yeah. So, Josh, your thoughts on the rundown?
You mentioned Nashville. They have to be ecstatic to get LSU and Notre Dame coming to town. It's exciting from a narrative standpoint you mentioned Louisville and Georgia, the Grantham Bowl. Petrino's involved as well. So you have storylines. You even had with South Carolina, Miami, Steve Spurrier taking a jab at Florida State because they're playing Miami this week. So yeah, there are storylines all over the place. Really, the Citrus Bowl, which is one of the top bowls, is the one that maybe doesn't have the most attractive matchup. But even for Missouri and Minnesota, their fan bases are excited.
Yeah, and it's a good reward for two teams that aren't used to going to Florida Bowls. I mean, this is the first time in years for Minnesota, and typically that team that loses the SEC championship game gets kicked off to a dud bowl, and it's unfortunate. Now, Missouri because they haven't been there. That's one of those bowls that actually picked like the old bowls did. And I was glad to see the Citrus say, you know what, we're going to reward this group because they're going to travel here. Chuck, your thoughts on the bowl
Well,
season?
I mean, last year wasn't it 10 SEC teams and you went 7-3? So you're kind of looking at, you're going to have a chance to be 70% winners. You look at this, there's 12. There's
Chucky the
12,
Greek, we know how he's going to look at it.
There's 12 SEC teams in bowl games. You're a pick in one with South Carolina and Miami. I really look at South Carolina as the underdog. But you're a favorite in 10 games. The SEC is a favorite in 10 of these games. And one of them you're not is TCU and Ole Miss. I really like that game. I think that is a show-me type game for TCU. If you were good enough to get into the Final Four and you didn't, show me that you are against a pretty good SEC defense.
Yeah, it's a great offense against a really good defense in that game.
Yeah.
Now, part of that, they set those lines based on who's going to bet in the Las Vegas casinos, and they know that most people realize that year in, year out, the SEC wins the bowl. So I think that skews the line a little bit in the SEC's favor, but still, I mean, that is a chance for a lot of SEC fans to put their money where their mouth is. One thing I want to point out about Tennessee's bowl game, and I think this is a plus, big plus. If they'd gone to the Liberty, which I expected, which most people had expected, they'd have been playing on Monday, the 29th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Instead, by going to the tax layer, I don't like these post-January 1st games, but it's a Friday, it's 3:20. A lot more people are going to be able to say, you know what, get out of here early, go enjoy an early weekend and enjoy the game. The difference between playing on Monday at 2 o'clock and Friday at 3:20 to me is huge for Vol fans.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think so, because that Friday people are still off work, extended weekend. Monday people are rushing through to finish their work year, so many more people will be watching that Friday.
Say one more thing about this. In the past, a lot of these bowl matchups, you've got blowouts. And usually the blowout, or a lot of times the blowout, is the lesser team compared if you're talking about overall program. I think this lineup makes it exciting for players. Yeah, you may be 6-6, but you're playing another named program.
Right.
And I think that'll make the bowl games a little bit better because it's named programs against named programs. It's not a 6-6 South Carolina against Bowling Green. And nothing against Bowling Green, by the way. but
I think you're
it's
right.
more exciting for them, I think.
Yeah, I think the only one you look at that list, and it's Florida with an interim coach, DJ Durkin's going to be running that team, going against East Carolina, a team that's really going to want to prove itself.
And that's the kind of thing you've had in the past. You've had a lot more than
that's
just
right.
one. Yeah.
And that's the only one this year. So it's a good lineup. Mike, did you have something?
I wonder at the Outback Bowl if Will Muschamp is going to sit with the new Wisconsin coach, whoever he might be, and they can second guess.
Second guess it. Yeah, there you go. All right, when we come back, Butch Jones gets a pay raise. We'll also take a look at what Tennessee's assistants made this past year. Are they in the right pay range? Come on back on the Sports Source.
Follow the Sports Source online at sportsource.tv and on Twitter at SportsSourceTV.